Meeting is now streaming live on Facebook.
Okay. Hey, everybody. So here we are. It's almost 1 o'clock. It's exactly 1 o'clock now. And we seem to iron out the technical glitches. Not that there were any, but to coach us through it. So now here we are. If anybody has any questions for me and Maura before we get going, or as we go, just post it to here on Facebook and we'll see the messages sooner or later, depending on our savviness at hopping back and forth between the two. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to open it up on my phone so it's ready to go so I can look at it there anyway.
Hi, Sherry. Sherry's joining us.
Oh, cool. That's funny. And if you have more, if you have your volume up anywhere, like maybe turn it down just in case like things bounce around, but I don't think that I have anything set up. I'm not sure. We'll find out.
Hi, everybody.
Janine and Angie, Danny, Sherry, thank you guys for joining already. So yeah, you want to get started more?
Yeah, let's get started. I know we only have a few people on, but people will be joining us. So
as we go, and then they'll watch it later. And
yeah, but I do want to start with us being ready to open up energetically. So it's always good to start with a deep breath, whatever people jump on here, whether they see it later or not. We all just need, who's ever watching and us, take a deep breath and just, what we're doing is allowing ourselves to open our mind and our heart to hearing the messages that we have for today. And so one of the most important things is whatever your belief in spirit is, and it doesn't matter what that is. So you might call it God and we call it spirit and higher love or whatever. That's what you want to ask for when you're listening to a message that you want to take in, because I really believe that this particular live video has downloads in it. I know Karen has been doing a whole bunch of praying and meditating as I have, and there's a lot of information that comes through. So you want to be open to receiving it because the change and the healing actually happens while we're all together. Make sense?
Yeah, it's a collective experience, and it's kind of an agreement that you kind of make with your higher self and with your team just by signing on and coming on here. It's already in action. It's already happening.
So we're starting today with the big picture and what it all means, because a lot of people, okay, we're being collectively challenged in the whole world, but individually we still have to figure out what to do so that we can stay sane and stay safe and not lose our minds over everything that's happening. And so a lot of fear is happening, and with all the changes, we keep going outside looking for answers. And part of the reason of this is to go back in and start asking yourself what you have control over, what it is what steps you can take and what changes you need to make, so that when this is all over, who are you going to be presented back to the world? And so there's been a lot of messages that I've been getting that have been interesting for me to listen to, because some of the, was that you or me?
That was me. Sorry.
Okay. No, that's okay. I just want to make sure. But there's a thing they're talking about that's called layering. We have layered ourselves with so many titles, right? So when we're born, we're a daughter or a son, and we have parents, and we become parents, and then we have titles that go on throughout the world, and who we become. We're a business person, and the titles we keep adding and adding and adding. And the person inside of us, the spiritual light that's inside of us, starts getting cluttered, because some of those things don't go together. But over time, we keep searching because we were taught. Think of the big movement of I am. We've heard before, when we put something after the words I am, we're expanding our power. But this is different, because the I am is going into words such as compassionate or understanding or growing or things like that, not the titles. Because before we were going after I'm a Reiki master, I'm an angel channeler, I'm a fitness instructor, I'm getting healthy in these kinds of ways, all different things. And so we have to start to eliminate those layers. And this is hard, because I'll give you a perfect example. I'm a proud daughter of my parents. My parents are gone, and they taught me. I'm very proud of them and proud to be theirs. I can't now take those titles with me if I want to grow. It'll always be part of my foundation, And people are having trouble understanding this, to peel the layers off to get to who are you right now at this moment. It doesn't mean you're a mom. It doesn't mean you're not a mom anymore. It just means you're going to put your focus on how you're going to develop in your spirit and in your light, because that's what we need to put out into the world, not with the titles. So I don't know if you've been getting similar messages about that. But some of these layers that are coming out, we're peeling like an onion, but we're letting them go. And so I want to talk about polluting the earth, because we have let go of so many things. Think of the Kamari method. People went through decluttering. Decluttering is great. I've done it because I've lived as a cluttered person for a very long time. However, where did all this stuff go that we put out into the world? We have let go of all kinds of stuff, and clothes and closets, and then energy. We've let go of, we're purging, we're healing, but without the respect of the earth, the world, the energy, the weather, the oceans, and so part of this has to do with us paying. Someone was asking if this is a paid event. I don't know how to tell them that it's
I don't know.
live. But part of this is about us taking responsibility and choosing different ways of, we're switching the word from gratitude. Gratitude's been the biggest thing of learning, to appreciation. What do we appreciate? Right now, we're appreciating that we used to be able to go out. We used to go to restaurants. We used to have freedom to go up to the boardwalk, or go to stores. And appreciating is a whole new movement that's going to happen, other than just the gratitude. We're grateful for what we have, but what are you appreciating? And we have to learn a new way of appreciation. I always think of that example they gave me long ago, especially in New Jersey, right? We see a yield sign when we're driving and we think it's a challenge. We're like, no, I'm going to go first. No, I'm going to go first. And so we're trying to learn to work together as a community and be kind, and sort of give up this, we think it's a power thing. What makes me right doesn't make you wrong. And so I'm even going to go to something political for a moment. Those labels no longer fit either. So when we have all these labels, political as well as family, familial, society, when we put them all down, when we come back out into the world and reemerge, they're asking us to pick up things that actually fit for who you are. They don't fit into boxes from the past. They don't fit into titles that we've had before. This is a whole new world. And so you're reinventing yourself, but you need to own it. And you have to own that it's uncomfortable. And you have to own that there's the unknown pieces, and we have to try things on and see how they feel. And so that comes with confidence. I'm going to say about developing your own relationship to spirit. This has been a big message. You won't fit, again, a title. What religion were you brought up in, or what is it that you believe in? How about you discover what you believe in? And we can't do that until we get quiet and still. And so the universe has kind of knocked us on our butts and kept us home. But at home, the reason why we're feeling anxiety and some depression and some of that panic is because we're kind of being kept in place and we don't know what to do. So the stillness and the breathing and the asking, people would be surprised at what comes over us. Peace, some of that enlightenment feeling, and the answers. And that's the piece right in there that we have struggled with. It's hard to get quiet. I don't care if we're all home or not. We're binge watching, we're eating, there's addictions that are happening. People are drinking, doing, drugs, whatever it is, taking stuff to feel calm. All of those things are taking us away from the light. I understand their coping mechanisms. We also need to put down the judgment piece, because we're judging people. Don't do this and don't do that. And we need the self-love and self-compassion. We need to be investigators and be curious about what it is we want to discover about ourselves and in relationship to the world, and then not be afraid to try those things on. And then some of them we're going to reject, but what is it that you believe in spiritually? What if it doesn't have a name? What if you need to come up with a new name? Those kinds of things. What is your relationship to spirit? And then I'm going to go back to respect. We clearly have not respected the earth and respecting nature. I'm going to go so far as currently. Do you know how many pictures I've seen of people disposing of masks and gloves that are polluting everything? So we have not really learned our lesson, even in this pandemic. So when are we going to take responsibility and be respectful and start paying attention to, we need to ask the questions for ourselves, who we are.
And when you were speaking, it made me think about ancestral stuff too. So we were carrying on the stuff of our families and our ancestors, and kind of checking, like, wait a minute, do I believe that? Like, is that really my belief? And as a way to kind of go inward and be like, I don't think that that's, falls in line with where I'm at. So to kind of let that stuff bubble up and examine it, and this stillness is forcing us to check ourselves. And yeah, the addictions or the busyness of the, let's repaint every room in the house, and as another way to kind of distract us. So the other night I was recognizing myself ignoring my inner voice, and I sat for a moment and I heard, like, within the stillness you'll find the magic. And it was just like so cool of a, like a wisp of wisdom that swept through me. So creating that space within this forced pause is really the gift in this coronavirus.
I like that title you put, a forced pause, because that's what it's been, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have instilled ourselves in so long that whether we've gotten messages over the last months and years to stop and cultivate a relationship with yourself and your spirit and your light. And I think that everybody needs to know that everyone is powerful. It's not somebody else. It's not someone who's more connected. This message came through harsh and loud and clear to me. And I'll go back to politics. And I never talk about politics, but there's a reason I'm bringing this up. We think all the people that are putting out anger and hate have to do with one thing, but it's everybody. People of the light, people that pray. It's judgmental. You should do this and you should do that. And it all has to stop on both sides, every side. There's not just two sides, but I'm just going to say, everyone is responsible for what we're putting out there. So if you thought a bad thought about anybody, I'll say candidates, it doesn't matter. You thought a bad thought and you've been angry and disappointed and disrespectful, you're doing the same thing. And so we might have reasons why and things we're against, but it is time to shift back to not what we're against, not what doesn't work, back to shift the focus to what does work. What are you for? What do you stand for? What feels right? And it has to be what feels right to you, not what you tell me is okay for me. And that's where people will come into their power if they're brave enough to even try it. So we have to look at it like the buffet table. Go up there and try some things and see. And now there's so many things available. Instead of getting overwhelmed because we keep going out to look for somebody to give us the answers, instead of getting overwhelmed, we go within. And just like you said, you got quiet and a message came to you. And so I want that for everybody. If I had my wish, that's what it would be, that people could hear. It's not some special hearing. It's not some special gifts. It's everybody has it. It's just really hard to get quiet and wait. In that time of waiting, that's the challenge. We're not used to the stillness. We're not used to the quiet. It's not comfortable.
Everyone always says practice, meditate. And you're like, no, yeah, I know your mind is busy. Everyone's mind is busy. That, that's why meditation is a practice, and you keep at it and you sit in the same spot at the same time, and you kind of create a vortex by getting quiet and making it a pattern and a habit. Then it's easier to slip in. But even if you just do it once in a while, just to filter out all of the outside noise. And once you get to that bottom line, then the peace washes over, then the messages come through, and you have to create that space. And this is creating that for us as a global, all of humanity is being forced to rise up, or not. So it's just like a global ascension. So
and that's a great point, or not, which means some people are not going to do that, or not be able to, or not choose to. Right. But the opportunity is there for everyone.
Yeah. I know yesterday, I love Sonia Choquette, and anybody who, I've taught classes to, I always cite her. And yesterday I came across an interview she did with somebody called Lilu, and she's interviewed some cool people, and she does a good job. And I wrote down some quotes that I thought were relevant to this. And one of them was that there's an invitation to change our consciousness and our behavior and our relationship with ourselves, one another, and the planet. And it's just that's exactly what this is.
That's exactly what this is.
Yeah.
That's right. And I love her.
I do too.
I was going to pull, I pulled out a couple decks in case we pulled some cards, because I think we're going to, but, and I was going to pull out her deck, and then I guess I didn't have to because you're covering her.
Yeah, I got Sonia Choquette covered.
Good.
another thing she said was, although we must accept the present circumstances, we don't have to suffer them. So it's just like, suffering is a choice. So it just, these little like nuggets are helpful for us to be reminded of it. And if you feel like you're being swallowed up in the fear, turn to these other resources to lift you out of it. So you have to kind of actively seek them, because otherwise you can just get like stuck in the muck. And another girl that I really like is Jenny Schultz, and I share her stuff too. And I don't know
What's her name?
Jenny Schultz.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, of course, I went right to the quote that I wrote down. Pray and ask for help to not get lost in fear. Ask your guides to remove the fear, so it's just like a simple thing like that, because it fluctuates, like there's moments where we feel really clear and really strong about where we're at right now with like the changes that are going to happen and optimistic. And then like the fear can wash over you. So don't let it keep you down for long, go take steps to shift your vibration, go outside, take a shower. I always talk about salt baths, so just your feet, just salt rinse your feet in the tub for a few minutes and just kind of windshield wiper your energy field as a way to shift your energy. Playing music, dancing, connecting to nature.
Music is big, absolutely. And I like to remind people that music is mood oriented. You don't have to listen to the same music, just like you're not in the same mood every day. So
Right.
find what you feel aligned with and listen to. Could be heavy metal one day, could be meditation music, could be chanting, whatever it is, and try new stuff. That's what this is about. And I just want to mention something about meditation, because you said something important too. Meditation doesn't have to be by the book, something you read. Go outside and connect with a tree and just feel the energy of that tree and breathe with it. That's a meditation. And we've gotten so lost on things. Am I doing it right?
No.
This is part of that criticism of I'm doing it right or I'm doing it wrong, and all the judgment. And if you're respecting your own energy, what you do becomes the right thing because it's right for you.
Yeah, you can be washing your dishes and have really profound moments. And that's like a moving meditation. Like yoga is a moving meditation. Walking could be a moving. It doesn't have to be cross-legged, saying Om,
Right. And it's funny you say the moving meditation. Anne Marley, she's in Florida now, but I'm going to drag her back to Jersey soon. She talks about doodling. If you put your pen on the paper and doodle, you can connect so much to your spirit and to a higher power, because you're giving yourself something to do if you relax into it. So when people talk about, am I creative or not? That's creative. Being yourself uniquely is creative. And so this doodling piece gets the energy out and the body movement, like you said, like dancing, like walking, different things like that. But discover yourself.
Mm-hmm. I know. I've been using this, time to tap into more creative stuff and just play with, like I've been playing with pine cones and leaves and making little pictures with them, and just like, that inner child kind of play and fun and creativity. And it really is fun, and it's important to get out of our heads, and you just kind of get lost in the moment of creating. And that's really, that's the idea. So, and here's another quote. We must turn our attention within to know ourselves and expand our awareness of our responsible place within the cosmos. So it's just like, we need to go within, we need to stop ignoring it and making busy bullshit excuses of why we can't, justify that time to just get quiet.
And our responsible place in the universe, that's perfect, because we are talking about taking responsibility. But the responsibility has to start with, what am I putting out into the world, energetically, physically? What's our output? It's the same thing as garbage, right? Are we recycling? Are we, what responsibility are you taking for yourself? And but without the judgment. So it's a little bit of a, we're talking about your name of your page is rebalance, right? We're the world is coming into a rebalancing of things because we weren't doing it ourselves. So it's almost like they forced us all to get home and off the earth, and now the earth is healing, the waters are healing, the animal and wildlife are coming back, the fish are growing. Like there's so many different things, that the air is clearer, the forests are growing. Like there's things that we've really depleted all our resources, and we go back to the word respect and responsibility. And we haven't done a good job with that.
And
Globally, we haven't
this
done a
is
good job.
offering that opportunity for people to recognize, like they can work from home. So maybe, that environmental impact of commuting less, and just whatever other changes that are going to come as a result of this, because it has to. And the local farming and all that kind of thing too. It's just like, it's a good opportunity for all of us to pivot, like to shift how we live our lives and to be more mindful and more conscious.
And many people have said, when we go back to the old ways, that's the point. Don't go back to the old ways. Let's find the new ways and what works. But it has to start with you. And you, every individual that's listening, you are important. You're part of the puzzle piece. And I think people miss that. They think somebody is more important than them. Every single person, you are important. I could say that every day until we listen. And the other thing is the emotions, the fear, the anxiety, the depression. We're not ignoring them and we're not challenging them. We're going to feel them, but respect them. I know for myself, it's been very difficult to be away from the center and the community and people and teaching. And so even though there's the video part of things, it's not the same for me. I like the interpersonal. So I do struggle with some of the depression and the lower energies. And so I have to pay attention to my energy so I don't slide into that. And for some people, it's the fear. The fear takes over. You and I talked a little bit about, because people are afraid of death and dying. And if they do get sick, where does that leave them or their families? And so moving into that thought process, yes, we need to be, mindful of what the right things are to do. We all know, we've heard a million times, the mask, the hand sanitizer, the soap and water, the washing our hands, cleaning, all of that. But thinking too much about what's going to happen, who's dying, it's affecting everybody. And so this isn't going into a rabbit hole and hiding, but at the same time, we don't want to go down the rabbit hole of fear and the what ifs, because that's not going to help us either.
No. And before you said something about, all of us, I forget what it was, but it connected me to how this virus is an equalizer, it's equal opportunists. So it just is another reflection, reminder back that we all are connected. I mean, as you kind of know that anyway, but it just put it plain as day. It doesn't matter if you're Tom Hanks or a homeless person, but everyone can get this get this sickness. And it's just bringing it home that we're all connected. Oh, a cool point that Sonia Choquette mentioned yesterday was, we're being forced to go home, like as part of our way of handling this. And she says, going home is like going home to your heart. So I thought that was cool. Just like our heart is our personal home. So it's just a reflection of that, need to go deeper within. So there's other things that we can go down towards. I don't know, but like the whether you want to talk about this is an accelerated transition to like the Aquarian age, or that ascension, or that kind of a direction. I don't know if you want to go there.
Well, first, what I want to say too about the fear, how fear diminishes is if we talk about it. If we keep it inside, it grows and grows and grows. So you can talk to someone or write about it to get it out, but you want to be mindful of who you talk to. So, misery loves company. We don't want to talk to someone who's going to help us exasperate that fear, right? So we want to talk to somebody so that we can get it out and feel calmer, and we put it in a safe place. So know who your safe people are, know who your friends or family members or mentors are, that you can speak to somebody to start to eliminate that. And that will help the fear dissipate. Same thing with the anxiety. Your anxiety level can come down when you're talking to someone who understands what you're going through. And we need witnesses sometimes to our emotions and our feelings. And that's part of, because I wanted people to hear from this big picture how they deal with the anxiety and the depression and the fears, because that's such an important part of this. And once we move that energy out, we're creating more space for what we're talking about.
Yeah, I know, because we're like neutralizing and transmuting the energies around us. And sometimes we're just doing it because we're an empath and we're absorbing the energy of the world around us. And it may not be from us individually, but we're just being used to kind of transmute the energy. So you want to witness it, call it for what it is, but let it push through you, let it rinse through you. So you're not holding on to it. And like you said, talking about it with other people, or, expressing it so it moves on. You don't want to get lost and sunk in it.
Absolutely. So what are your feelings about the ascension process?
Uh, I don't know. I feel like it's happening. So it's kind of been happening all along, and now it's kind of doing a forced push on those that are, you know, been teetering and are waking up, you know, to it more. So I was wondering if the people who are watching wanted to ask any questions. Like everyone, I'm just seeing that people are watching. Nobody's asking anything. So if you guys have any questions for us in particular about anything,
I'm just sending somebody the link, so excuse me.
no worries. But yeah, like I don't know if there's any focused questions that people want insight on or whatever feedback on. But yeah, like I said, I was like, I get a little dorky and I take notes and stuff. And so I wrote a whole bunch of stuff out between yesterday and today. I take my job seriously. So, you know, like I just took snippets. So it's like one of them was, we are not going back to the way things were. And that's, you know, we know that. Now's the time for you to do your inner work. Get busy on your life path and purpose. So that's part of the ascension also, is that people are waking up to who they are. I have someone in my circle who I've always known that she should cook and be a, you know, like, and she was like, well, I can't do my life purpose because the bills are here and I have to work this job. And then she lost her job temporarily and then was cooking a lot in the meanwhile and putting out recipes. And I'm like, she's like tapping into her magic. And I was so excited for her because I think this is part of that, is to wake up those passions. I have a neighbor who, you know, we chat when we walk the dog, and he's been out of work because of, you know, what he does. And he's like, you know, I've been really getting into like going through my old pictures, and he's editing them. And now he wants to take pictures of families in town as a way to raise money for the different causes that are happening. So it's like, I was so excited when he told me that, because I'm like, of course you're a photographer. Like looking at him, I'm like, oh yes, of course that's him. Like it just makes sense that he'd be into that. So it's opening up that chance for people to really tap into their creative, excited, you know, talents and gifts. And this is what this energy of love and passion for what you do is going to, you know, help the world in the end, because you're pushing that good vibe out, because you're doing it from a place of love and excitement. So that just kind of builds on itself and is contagious. So I think that's another major part of that ascension thing, and also just part of what this quiet is providing us.
I love that, because also that chain link that you're talking about, you're linking back to something that you're passionate about or that you're creative about that you don't even know. And when you're linking those things together, guess what happens? We go back to what we said initially, all those other layers of the onion are falling away because you are focusing and channeling your energy on what it was that you came here to do, one of the purposes. And we don't just have one, you know, some people do have a purpose that they came here for, a soul contract. We came here to do or learn or be, but there's so many paths that open up in the linear. Linear meaning this life, linear time, past, present, and future don't exist in spirit, but that's for a whole other time that we could get into. But for this, when you go into asking, so what am I passionate about? We might not think, oh, I like to cook. You'll never hear me say that, but you know, I like to cook. And you open that up and see where that takes you. Oh, I like to bake. I didn't know that it could turn into something. But if you don't give yourself the chance to see what that can become. One of the books I love that I read recently, Give Me Back My Crayons, by Joanne Acero. It's just, it's about finding your creativity. Go, you know, cut things out of a scrapbook, go get some clay and see what you're doing, get your hands in something. And we do have a responsibility to teach our children that, so that they can grow up with that. But at some point, us at our age, we let that go. And there was a separation there. And so us finding that back, and after reading her book, I did get out my crayons. I love my crayons. I love coloring. It's actually a form of therapy. What is your, you know, therapy? What could you try? Maybe it is the clay and the painting and the finger paints and get back to that. There's so much healing and freedom and energy. And there's a whole other belief about color and art that really is healing, that can help us at this time right now, that people should be jumping into that.
Yeah, totally. I got my crayons out too, and I colored my Easter egg paper for the window for like the egg hunt in town or whatever, some rec program. I was like, I'll color an egg, and I got really into it. And it's just the feeling of crayon on paper can be very satisfying. So, you know, I just did that.
The pencils, the colored pencils, the mandalas.
What's that?
The colored pencils, mandalas,
Oh yeah.
Kids coloring books. There's so many adult coloring books. You can grab a blank piece of paper and, stop getting in our head about, I'm not an artist. I'm not, draw stick figures. I say it all the time. I'm the best stick figure drawer on the planet.
I bought drums at the beginning of this quarantine. I ordered them. That wasn't an essential purchase from Amazon, but I did buy them. I bought my husband a ukulele. I was like, I need to buy him a ukulele in like February. I have no idea why. I just needed to do it. And I'm so glad because then I bought myself drums after the quarantine, and he and I have like freaking jam sessions. It's so funny. I've never done a jam session with anybody ever in my whole life.
Isn't it awesome?
Ride the same wave. Like we know where the music's going to go. Like I speed up while he speeds up. It's like the craziest thing. And I'm like, this is so fun. And and then my son comes down and he was banging around with us. It's just awesome. So yeah.
But Karen, that's a parallel to us getting into the same rhythm with
Right.
everybody else.
Yeah.
Which can absolutely happen globally if we allow it.
Yeah.
But what you're doing is getting quiet enough, right, to get into and then let go of the control and see where that happens. That's
Right.
getting into the wave of that. And we have a challenge doing that.
It's hard to shut off the criticism voice in your head. Like, you don't know what you're doing. And this isn't, I was like scared and worried. Like, are we really doing this? The next thing you know, we're like totally hitting this thing. Oh shoot, I had a thought fly in my head and fly out. Dang, I almost wrote it down. I didn't. Oh, it'll come back. But so Danny wrote that her daughter is 4 and is very empathetic or empathic rather, and is soaking up everyone's energy, fears, sadness, etc. And she's struggling with expressing it all in a healthy way. And I want to support her. What can I do to help support her? I know this one thing John Edward had said where he had his kid put all his negative, yucky thoughts into a glass of water. And then they took the water and they just like dumped it. I think they dumped it down the toilet. You don't want to dump it, like, use it to make pasta or put it in your plant, but like just get rid of that water. So like that's like a physical way to be like, okay, now get all those yucky, mean, horrible thoughts out of your head, put them in here. Okay, are they out? All right, good. And then
I love that.
Yeah. And he
said, and I love the toilet because it gives children some control over there letting it go.
Right.
That's a great thing. And Danny, I want to say too, she is an empath herself. Right. So moms that are empaths, that have children that are empaths, there's a lot of that feeling that's going on. So if the adults are feeling stress and fear and different things, their children pick that up because they are also so sensitive. And this is why the creative play comes into it. It doesn't just have to be crayons and things. You get a whole bunch of, dolls or soldiers or whatever, and, have them do whatever that feels sometimes a little aggressive, but it's safe play. That's important too. I also find that picking up and looking for rocks outside can help because it's tangible. It's, part of the earth and it's solid and it reconnects them because children have such a wonderful connection to nature. And it helps them rather than be in the house all day. And the electronics, I'm not even talking about video games. Electrical stimulus, also people that are sensitive can respond to that. So if there's too much sound on, if there's too many lights on, it can affect children as well as adults, but it can affect children.
Yeah, they have grounding mat, like earthing mats and stuff that if you go to earthing.com, you can buy these things that are, whether they're blankets or wrist things, but they're a way to give us the earth energy in the house because they plug into the grounding outlet. But obviously everyone's got more time right now. So go outside, that's that much better, just hang out barefoot in the grass. And like Maura said, like doing the play with your daughter. I think that, just being outside to discharge it all and to give it a name, and with older people, I wouldn't think with kids you want to burn stuff, but when you're, with an older person and they're dealing with the angst of things, you could, write things out and burn them. And that can be really cathartic and help to
safe burning.
What's that?
Safe burning.
Safe burning. Have a bowl of water or a cauldron or a fire pit.
Fire extinguisher.
Do it outside.
Or firemen. Whatever works.
Be mindful and be safe, but pay attention to how it burns too, because that can tell you if you're really
absolutely those big flames, right?
Yep. And sometimes
it's done that.
Lighting it 6 times and it's not lighting. It's because it's like you got to deal with whatever that issue is because you're really not ready.
That's a great point.
Yeah, it gives lots of feedback. The one thing it came back, my thought, talking about the collective energy and that kind of a thing. There was, I think it was because it was April 4th, 444, because 2020 is a 4 year.
Mhm.
It was like a global meditation, and they did it at the time of one planet crossing by another. So I forget what it was. It was 10:45 at night Eastern time. Did you hear about that?
I heard of for the April energy, but not the
It
at
was
night.
a global meditation. I saw it like in several places, and I anyway during it, because so many people were worldwide tuning in and sending love to the planet. The Schumann resonance scale, which is basically the energy of the Earth itself, had a huge spike, and it just
Oh, right, that seismic
yeah,
thing. Yes, I did read that.
like we can impact the planet like with our love. Like what? Like it's crazy, but it's true.
Why do you think people don't believe that?
Because they've been brought up in skeptical societies that are snarky and full of doubt.
Correct. And because they don't see the tangible proof.
Yeah.
So what we can start with, I love the prayer groups I belong to because I have seen people recover. And so, we're not here to talk about the skeptics, but if you collectively pray for someone, and if you don't pray, you can send good vibes and good thoughts and stuff, it helps them heal. So wouldn't it take that a step further? Why aren't we sending love to the planet and to the oceans and to this virus, so that can also heal? It makes a difference. So what I say to people is, whether you believe it or not, how about you just do it and we'll see what happens, because your energy is strong and powerful, and we just don't know the extent of it.
And I've had friends and my sister report back to me like after I sent them healing. This is before this whole COVID stuff, and they'd be like, "Oh, I could tell that you sent it to me," and I'm like, "Really?" Like, even though I believe in it, I still am like impressed that they felt it and they saw a difference and stuff. And now that I'm doing this all the time these days, I'm also doing healing circles once a week with whoever wants to join me, other healer friends. And there's been about 10 of us that have been pretty consistent with it. And it's like once we tune in, because we tune in for exactly a half hour from like 7 to 7:30, and like once like that switch goes on, you could feel like the force of like our wall of energy tapping in. And then when we share the experience, and this happens with group meditations and stuff also, I know it's not a unique experience in this world, but it's still amazing and noteworthy. Like we have shared experiences. Like I saw this and I saw that, and everybody's like, oh my, of the few people that are in it, at least one, if not more than one, will report on the same thing. Like we're all picking up on the same imagery and feelings and emotions. It's like, it's just so cool. It's just so cool. So it's really waking that up for people all over the place. And my son was petting the cat yesterday, but he wanted the cat to stay. And I said, just send him some love. I said, send him Reiki. I said, send him love. Like, I feel like Reiki and love are interchangeable. I'm like, just picture hearts coming out your hands. And he's like, look, I'm sending him love, and he's staying, like it's cool.
And it's great to practice with energy, especially with kids, but I mean adults, and seeing how that feels. Most people, the energy that they give is either to their partner, or there's very limited amounts that they actually practice it, but it's time for us to up that game. And what I wanted to say too is, while you were talking, it came to me that sometimes it is challenging to do it alone, meaning when we have, we call it holding sacred space, when other people can hold space with you and for you, it becomes easier to start to practice that muscle, like a gym. We're practicing it when we're with other people. And then when you're alone, it gets easier and easier. So what do you do in the healing circles on Zoom?
Yeah, well, yeah, what we do is we just have all agreed to meet at that time, like in the ethers. So like we're just hanging out from 7 to 7:30.
Okay. So separately.
And then at 7:30, we check in on Zoom and share our experiences.
Wonderful. That's a great experiment.
It's been awesome, and then the people that were on our list from the beginning who were like more severely affected with COVID and they were younger, they both have been discharged and brought home. So it's like really cool to see, just how the impact of it. And some people, I remember some, Ray, he was talking about that he felt resistance from some people in receiving it. And it's like, well, that's their choice too. Like, even though we're doing it in this virtual way, and I think he got permission, but it's like, not everybody's on board, but those that are,
Well, they're also afraid of the energy. What am I opening up to? And so what I always say is, if you're opening up to the light and to spirit and nothing else, right? That's what we're opening up to. Light and dark can't take up the same space.
Right.
So if you're opening up to the light, that's what you become. And that's what this is about. What are you becoming and what are you choosing? And when we talk about what's going to happen after this, it depends on what you're doing now.
Mhm.
What decisions are you making? What things are you letting go of? What things do you no longer want to pick up as a layer when you walk back out the door? They're like layers of clothes. How many coats are you going to wear with your labels on them? I used to teach a class called No Label Living. Those labels no longer fit us. And it goes deeper than that, than just political and religious and, gender and all of those things. All of those labels, when you put them aside, you have a brand new opportunity to pick up who you are without bringing the ancestral and the societal and the religious and how much weight do you lose just by letting all that go? And you have that opportunity right now. And I hope that more people are going to take advantage of that. It's so important.
I found a quote to support that.
Awesome.
I said, it's in time of a crisis that we find ourselves in such uncharted territory that unless we go within and search for our answers, we can be lost, confused, and left wanting for more from our usual outside sources. So
that's perfect.
Pretty cool.
So in alignment. So I'm going to ask, if people are out there, what are you having the most trouble with about yourself? So not what you're shopping for and not, keeping the kids' schoolwork going. What are you personally having a problem with? Like, what is your challenge? Amory says, what's a good beginner's book to read to help with opening up to spirit and overcoming fear? Sonia Coquette.
Yeah, yesterday on her interview, the lady asked her, which of your books would you recommend for right now? And I wrote it down. It's one that I read but I don't own. Ask Your Guides. That was the book that she recommended right now.
I think she wrote Trust Your Vibes too.
Trust Your Vibes is all about listening to your intuition, but I think that was her answer. I thought Trust Your Vibes too, but she said Ask Your Guides. So
well, I meant for because Amory's question was a beginner's book to help with
opening up
to spirit. So maybe Trust Your Vibes and then Ask Your Guides. I think those two are perfect answers to that.
Yeah.
That would absolutely help. Oh, Erin Quinn says, picking up on low vibrating energy.
Erin's super sensitive. So yeah, of course she is. Of course you are, Erin. And I know that she is very proactive in protecting her energy too. So like she knows all the basic tips. And the basic tips would be, doing the foot salt, cutting cords, picturing yourself in a bubble of light, zipping up your energy, all these ways to kind of protect, using stones, using oils.
But I'm going to bring something else into this that people aren't thinking of. And I'm the perfect candidate to bring this up. Sugar. What are we eating? Lower vibrational foods and carbs, and this is not a challenge of good and bad again, back to that. But we are not, most people, the majority of people, are not taking advantage of the nutrition piece that's actually going to affect our energy. And, there's only so many carbs and pizza and pasta and ice cream. Anybody? That we can eat when it doesn't affect us. So that's part of this nutrition piece is going to add to that energy level. And so I want to point that out. Erin says, good point, more sugar. It doesn't mean we can do it, but what I've learned is instead of arguing with ourselves and, criticizing, add something healthy. It makes the shift. Drinking plenty of water. That's those basic things we talk about. That changes the energy. And then when we have a little better energy, a little better sleep, then it's almost like a honing device, right? And we start connecting with people that have higher vibrations. And that's part of that. And again, what are we feeding into? Are you watching the news? Are you talking to people that the fear is exasperating, or are we doing something that's a little more safe?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, stepping away from the news would be like number one. So, control how you consume the news and just get snippets and just read it. Don't just pop on the news and keep it on all day. That's not healthy for anyone.
I love this, what Angie says. I'm having the hardest time feeling guilty on the days that I don't feel like doing anything. I love this because so many people are feeling that way. It's called the motivation, right? We feel like, oh, if I had all this time off, I would do what you said earlier, Karen, the house projects and the, cleaning everything out and doing this and doing that. And, people that are writing, I'll write a whole book and I'll do. energetically we're not supported by that because everything doesn't feel great. It's not like we have the weekend off and we can do whatever. But rule one is don't judge yourself. And that's hard for us because we're like, oh, another day. I didn't get off the couch, or maybe I didn't get out of bed, or like you said, did I even take a shower, in the last 2-3 days? So small things to celebrate. Oh, you made coffee and went outside and got some sun. Will make you feel better than what?
Brush your teeth.
Brush your teeth.
That's
funny because I said the people that are going to have the most business, number one, hairdressers, I'm first online. Chiropractors, we've all been laying around and sitting around. Dentists, there's days that people go without brushing their teeth, right? Different things like that. So, small steps.
I want massage so bad.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Hands on, right? Connection. But those little things of not criticizing yourself and self-care without maybe the best thing you can do is acknowledge that this is the time off that you needed. You needed to do nothing. You needed not to be productive for whatever reason and not be hateful or hurtful to yourself, and really learn to be your own cheerleader. Say, hey, I did get out of bed today, or I did make coffee, or, I needed extra sleep, or because we know that the criticism and the beating up is never going to help anything. And I just want to acknowledge Kim. Kim said she's having a hard time with this being alone. And so I can relate to that. I live alone. A lot of people have families and kids and different things, and that's their own challenges, which I'm sure Karen can speak about. But being alone, days could go by and you could not be, held responsible to really do much of anything. But that's where schedules sometimes come in and can be helpful. Not a schedule that you have to keep to like this, but you might say, tomorrow I'm scheduling with myself a shower, a walk, a FaceTime with somebody, a friend, or a book I want to read for this hour or two. And so when you make that like a pact with yourself, you're not saying, oh, the whole day tomorrow, I decided I have to take out all the food out of the cabinets and go through everything. No, do something that you look forward to. And that helps with that aloneness, because there's only so much television you want to be watching and so much binge watching you want to do, or video games, or and you need to offset that. And we go back to the word we're talking about, balance. Get some balance in there so you feel less alone.
I know I have a friend who's living alone, and she was just like, last week on Easter, she was especially feeling it because she felt like those that she wanted to reach out to were too busy with their families to kind of give her time. So she was just like, this fucking sucks,
Yeah.
And so that's where you have to, compromise on what you can access, but these types of meetings, the Zoom calls or whatever that are going on in whatever community you're a part of, like as a way to kind of create that connection and spend time with the people that you care about. I still haven't made my dad make a Zoom account because I just don't want to deal with like coaching him through it. But I haven't seen my dad on the computer screen yet, but he did stop by last week with chocolate bunnies.
How about FaceTime? Because that's easier than...
He has an old man phone. He doesn't want to...
Okay, flip phone?
Yes.
I do want to talk about one other thing you said. We talked about appreciation before. I want to point out that something that people are not looking at. Two things. This did not start being contained in this, like, I've been home 5 weeks. So these 5 weeks that have not happened in the actual middle of summer. And it has not happened at the holidays, Christmas and stuff. So I want to take those two pieces out and look at them. Do you know how life would be so much worse, even though people can't think that? They're like, this is the worst of everything. If it was the middle of summer.
Spring blooms, how terrible. Yeah.
Right. Can you imagine it's 100 degrees out and we're trapped in the house indefinitely? And overriding all the energy, meaning air conditioners and everything, trying to feel good and freezing. But can all of our resources support that? Or we'll go back to energetically, meaning electricity. If it can't support it, now we're home with no air or it's the holidays and it's Christmas and you can't see your family. Like, there's so many ways this can be worse, even though we don't look at things that way. We have to start stepping out and saying, My belief has been from the beginning, if the first 3 weeks you had to go home and you were responsible to be respectful and not leave the house and figure it out, the numbers would have started going down from then. But we have the people that challenge yield signs when they're driving that say, I'm not doing that. Why me? But my hope and my belief is that by June, there's going to be such a big shift, because a lot of people are asking, is this going to go on till the summer, till Christmas, till, we don't have the answer. Are the beaches and things going to be open? And, that conversation just brings people more fear and anxiety. It is April. Let's pay attention to what we're doing for April. Let's pay attention to what we're responsible for right now. Let's be respectful and responsible. And if we can do that, we can affect this change that's so needed.
For sure. My neighbor was using a leaf blower. I was getting scared it was going to get louder, get closer. That's one thing I really don't love about the suburban lifestyle. Freaking, and whatever.
I love this. Sharon Underhill says, I'm loving the slower pace. I'm loving being able to just dig in the dirt. Am I weird? No, you're not weird. It's just, I commend your freedom of giving yourself the ability to love the slower pace. A lot of people can't embrace that. So you're a great example of what people can do to embrace the fact that there's a slower pace and we don't have that day-to-day and week-to-week challenges of sticking to that fast-paced craziness we had before.
Yeah, and how much people's lives are going to change and how their priorities are going to shift now that they have had a chance to take a step back and spend some time with their family and take it easy. I'm a baker, and all the flour is just gone at the grocery store because everyone's taking up baking in their free time.
Oh, flour. Okay.
All these people are baking, and but that good for them. Not everyone had a chance to bake before, so people are baking and taking that time, learning how to bake bread from scratch. But and my neighbor was generous enough to offer me some flour because I was bitching that there was no flour at the store.
Oh, that's lovely.
But yeah, Kim was saying she just wants to be able to be with people again, and it's like me too. It's like when my dad came with the bunnies, I knew he kind of wanted to come inside. Like, I don't think he really appreciates, and I was like, no, just give me the bunnies through the door, and it made me sad because I wanted to hug him, but I was like, oh, we're not supposed to be,
That's the hardest part for me, the hugging.
Yeah.
I'm a hugaholic. Everybody that knows me, so check on your hugging friends. We're not okay. That was the sign I saw. I'll tell you, teddy bears help. If you don't have animals, I miss my animals so much because they're gone over the Rainbow Bridge. But if you don't have animals and you don't have people, we got to resort back to our teddy bears. It's funny how things are going back to childhood, crayons and creativity and teddy bears and snugglies and things like that. And for those people that are having trouble being alone without other people, because that's something to look within and say, why am I having trouble with that? Do I not love spending time with myself? What is it that I need to learn from this? How can I grow? And they're not easy questions. You can rattle off a whole bunch of questions, but then when you actually have to sit down and ask them from yourself and do the work about it, it's not, it doesn't always feel fun, but I promise you that there's great things on the other side of that.
With my clients, because when I do the healing work, like I'll look at the chakras. And there's some people that are stressed out and I'm working on them because they're stressed out. And there's other people that are kind of stepping into their spirituality more strongly. So that's kind of where my clientele are at. So with but all of us, whenever I look at the root chakras, everyone's root chakras is like upside down and inside out. Like everyone's root chakras are like a little bit flipped around, some of them more than others, because we have our foundation's been so disrupted. But I've noticed on a bunch of them, and I also know this just from knowing it and the different people I follow, but everyone's heart chakras are really opening up. Like those that are on that, being pushed towards a more spiritual edge of experience and delving into that now more than ever, the heart chakras are really growing big. It's really cool to see.
And the first chakra is, I am safe and all my needs are met.
Yeah.
That chakra is being challenged, but getting back to the connection to the earth and realizing all your needs really are met. Your basic needs are met. You have a home, you have water, you have, food, whatever that may be, and toilet paper, whatever, but maybe you've had to make some compromises, and we're really spoiled. We're a spoiled culture. Back to the appreciation. Are you appreciating what you do have?
Yeah. Well, me and my son, before I realized the flour was so out, we made bagels last week. That was like 4 cups of flour or something. So we're making bagels from scratch because I didn't want to go to the store just for bagels. Like, yeah, I just didn't feel like that felt frivolous. So we made bagels from scratch, and it was a tough workout, kneading the dough and stuff. So he goes, I'm really going to appreciate all the food I eat now, because the week before we made pretzels from scratch. So we're a carb kind of a family. But so, he's having a greater appreciation for the food that we consume and the work that goes into it. And actually, a few weeks ago, my one grandma I never felt close to, because I knew her when I was little, and she was more strict. She was my dad's mom, and she was, a child of the Depression, or an adult of the Depression, whatever. And so she was always very strict about like food and waste. And I didn't like that, being raised by, having her influence around. But I never felt close to her in spirit. She died years and years ago, but just recently she's been surfacing. She surfaced like everywhere, all in like a short, like 2 days. And it's because she's helping us dealing with this reality that was her reality. I feel like it was just really kind of cool to kind of connect with her and feel that influence. And she always was very mindful about, like I would finish the cereal and dump the milk, and she's like, no, you drink that milk, you don't dump that milk. And now I feel like that we're like that with the kids, because it's like, don't waste anything. We gotta be very mindful of what we're consuming, because like I'm the first to ignore leftovers, but now we're pulling out the leftovers for lunch the next day, because it's like, it's in our fridge, let's eat it, like, don't be wasteful. So it's like, that's another cool side effect.
Well, and Sharon said, my perspective keeps going back to our pioneers, who often didn't see outside for months and months, and they had no television and
Yeah.
Telephone and all of that. And it's so true. And we still have so many things. Think of all the electronics and all the things we have available to us, and people are just not, still not in the energy of appreciation. And, we will see our families. Hasn't been a year. It's a couple weeks and a couple months, but at the same time, we don't realize that sometimes we don't see these people for a couple months. It's just once somebody says to you can't see them, it becomes more stressful. And then in our heads, it feels like a much longer time. So embracing the now and being present. We would be remiss if we didn't talk about the essential workers and sending them all of our love and support, because can you imagine that being your task and your job 24/7? They are the backbone and support of what, why we're still going, the truckers and the, not just the medical profession, which, oh my goodness, I can't send them enough love. I think that they need a year off when this is all done. Oh, the other thing, therapists are also going to be big, dealing with post-traumatic stress and everything, but all the essential workers, we need to send them love every single day. Absolutely, because that's the love and support that they need to be strong and keep, going and staying healthy and doing their jobs that are supporting us.
And you could just picture that as a bubble of light around them. You could picture it as rainbows pouring into the top of their head, or heart bubbles kind of like landing on them, like
that.
However you see it, blasting of light. So it's not a big deal to intend healing love on people. So,
and I just want to mention too, people that have gotten sick do get better. Some people are not making that connection. They think sick, doom. There's a whole bunch of people that have gotten sick and have recovered. But we're just hearing statistics mostly on the news of how many people are sick, how many people died, how many people are sick, So I want you to start thinking of people that can get sick, actually recuperate. And so taking the energy of that and feeling strong and building your immune system. Fear diminishes your immune system, just like crappy food diminishes our immune system. Our thoughts diminish our immune system if we're not being careful. And so we want to be speaking to ourselves, so our cells are healthy and vibrating and celebrating, and that builds our immune system.
Yeah. sorry, I saw my son message me. Can I go downstairs? No, you can't go downstairs. It's right now.
So I want to ask people, who are you without your labels? Who are you without all of these different things we started out with saying, the definitions of yourself as a mother, a daughter, a worker, the things that you are. Who are you? If you're not male or female, if you're not a Democrat or a Republican, if you're not, gay or straight, or if you're not Italian or Irish, but like, I'm not going to name every single thing in every category, but what if you're not those things and you don't have those labels, who are you? That's the question. And, it can't be answered in like you're rattling off a resume. I'm asking you, I'm challenging you to start asking that question when you keep putting down each of these labels and descriptions of yourself. Who are you?
I am love, I am light.
That's a great start. And who do you want to be? Because when you start staying in the energy of that and you're moving through the world like that, that's what you're spreading. And that, we want to spread that, not everything else that we've been spreading. And that's how you find who you really are. And you can start being, if you trust your intuition, you are being drawn to the things that spark your passion, the things that connect to your heart, the things that you start hearing that inner voice and it gets stronger and stronger. And that's part of what this is all about.
And then this other point that I took note from yesterday, this saying that this time is not a punishment, it's an invitation. And what's good about this, where can I contribute? Use the tools that you're given, and the world needs your loving spirit and you'll receive the guidance. So just taking that step forward and moving towards that space and trusting that you'll be guided along the way. And sometimes it's scary to kind of step out and follow your intuition and go and reach out for these things, but then you'll be met. And then the next steps will be coming forward to you.
And if you're afraid, give the fear to spirit. I'm afraid to find out who I am, if that's what your thought is. I'm afraid of the unknown. I'm afraid of where it's going to be. I'm afraid to step out into the public or be myself. Give all those feelings to spirit. The thing that happens, people fall away from our lives, friends, coworkers, family members. And it feels bizarre sometimes because you're so used to having certain people around you, and maybe those people are not in support of or in alignment with your vibration. And so when they start falling away, instead of going back and running after them, and these can be your boyfriends, your girlfriends, your husbands, your wives, your the job that you're at, your bosses, whatever, family members too, like I said, we have to be brave enough to let them go. And that can be challenging for a lot of people, but therein lies some of the best growth and discovery.
And you need to ask and put that call out, I had a session in the middle of February where they mentioned like an ascended master I hadn't heard of. And then I started researching more about that. And then I just felt like I was being pulled to learning more about this Council of Light. And I said, well, Council of Light, then help me out. Give me something to go by that I can like learn more about this and delve into it. And, driving, when you're driving, you're just like spaced. And all of a sudden it was like, check, podcasts. So I Googled Council of Light, or not Googled, put it into the podcast search, found a podcast that led me to like develop and dive deep into bringing me to different authors and YouTubers or whatever. It was amazing. And it's because I was like, well, you want me to do this? Tell me how and show me. And it works. It works. All you have to do is ask. But that's the thing.
Step one, ask for help.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you did it.
Yeah. And it was very specific, and I got very specific. And then it sent me down like this good rabbit hole, but a deep one. And I was in it for a while, and I was like forwarding it to my friends. And some people like walked away from it like, oh, and then other people were like, yeah. So it's like some people are going to fall back and not be able to handle it. But you got to do what's right for you. So just ask for specific freaking help and listen to where you're being guided and do it.
And follow through, right? And don't go after the people that are not on board. So before we would spend time going, but wait, I'm going to convince you. This is why you need to jump on board because X, Y, Z, and it's going to help. And that's not your job anymore. That's your job is to stay in your own lane, figure out what that lane looks like, figure out which way you're driving, and keep feeding that and ask for help to do that. And that's the strongest way we can find out who we are and what it is we're going to be tasked with moving forward. But that's the challenge. The challenge is, who are you without all the labels now? That's one of the biggest things.
Yeah. Because we are creating an evolved society over the next 10 years. Like it's gonna, like this is the beginning of a shift, you know? I like Elizabeth Peru. So that was a quote from one of her things. So
yeah.
No
She's
use
awesome
hoping
too. And I'm glad you're talking about the people that inspire you, because it's time to shift that for a lot of people. Either they haven't been following anybody, or they give their power away and follow somebody, and then that becomes, the do all, be all of what they're believing. And so it's time to experiment. I like that you went on something that led you to something else, and then a podcast, and then you listened, and there's going to be, it's your own research. So do it. Dive into that. That's where you find your answers. But the trust from yourself has to be not you giving your power away, but you standing up and claiming that. And it might sound like a repeated message that I'm saying, but I'm saying it many ways so that everybody can hear it.
Mm-hmm. I know the more we step into that, then it's just going to like light up and light up and light up and light up, the ripple effect.
For example, the angels told me, and other readers and messages, I had to do technical, what do you call this, electronic media, but, and I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. And here I sit with Karen Foote doing exactly that, and starting to learn about all these ways of communicating that are new. Nothing will take the place for me as a live angel circle. We've done them 20, 30, 40, 50 people, and feeling that energy in an angel circle, nothing will compare to that. For me, but we have to find new ways of doing things. And I remember when our parents, we were young and our parents were older, and they had to learn a computer, and we're like, come on, it's a computer. We're kind of doing the same thing. The young kids today can zip through anything, and we're the ones that are muddling through saying, what do I have to learn now? But we have to be uncomfortable, and that's part of this.
Yeah. And then here's another, I keep opening up to quotes that just totally.
I love it. Quotes are awesome.
It's when daily routine is broken up that inspiration rushes in. You're being offered a deeper way to live. So I was like, why am I turning the page? Okay, I don't know. Maybe there's something over here.
Because it's so perfectly in alignment. I love your shirt. It says kindness matters.
Yeah, it was my Christmas present to myself.
We have to remember that and take that forward, because what happens is, in times of challenges and tragedies and different things, our kindness lasts this long. If we look at things like after 9/11 and after any tragedies, I won't go into all of them, but when something happens and we're kind for a little while and then we revert back, this is not a time for us to revert back to the old. The old is not just being left behind, it's being swept away and healed. And that's why it's so important. If we don't ask the questions about who we are, we're going to get lost in the abyss, and it's going to create illnesses for yourself, not this illness, disconnect, feelings of lost and not belonging somewhere, not fitting in, all of those things we're trying to avoid by doing the groundwork now.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a quote for that?
No. I think I ran out. Christ consciousness, that was something else that I had just written down as a little blurb, but I didn't write anything else connected to that. So,
well, I'm glad you're bringing that up, because part of the new wave that's coming in here has to do with learning about ascended masters and different things in a different way. I have people that are teaching about Jesus and his energy and what he did and what his life was about here, and who he is in relationship helping us now. And it doesn't go by the old ways of what we were taught. Not that they're bad, not that we're criticizing them, but if there's a new way to learn the relationship and who he is and what he represents, would you be open to that? Like, that's what people have to ask. Are they open to learning about the angels or their spirit guides, or what it is, who they want to speak to in spirit to help them and support them?
And Jesus feels like a ray of golden light. Like, honestly, that's how his energy feels.
Is he one of your guides when you're doing healing?
Well, he's there a lot. So sure.
So yeah, I'd say yeah.
Like have like I have like a team that I feel connected to, but I don't witness them when I'm doing my work. You know, I more witness them in meditation. But
Yeah.
sometimes I'll feel Jesus come in because it's like this blast of like golden light as he enters the room. So
And I think that's what people are missing too, the actual tangible feeling of the energy of light. And so once you feel it, it gets a little addicting in a healthy way, that you want to be in that energy again. You want to feel that connection. You want to feel that healing.
and that's part of the withdrawal of not working. Like I get, you know, like last week I took off for spring break because I just really did feel like I needed the break. But by the end of the week, I was like irritable and emotional. And I was like, it's because I'm not channeling freaking love and light like all day long.
Exactly. And that's when I go into my own depressive energy, because I'm not doing the work, and the work is part of who I am, and you know, what keeps me sane and whole. And I have to stay connected to that now.
Yeah, I know, it's important. It's such a lift. It's really good for us. Nobody else has any, like nobody got you guys. If you have any more things you want to touch on, just give a quick shout now. All I
My
remember.
challenges remain the same. What are you going to do from today forth? Meaning, who's ever listening? What will you start picking up when you're putting down a lot of those labels about yourself? And how can you let go of fear and the anxiety and some of the challenges that you're facing on the daily basis, instead of saying, you know, for the next month? No, just today. There's a reason why we talk about breaking things down for just for today. It's not just, you know, a 12-step program of saying, what are we going to do for the next 24 hours? It works for everybody. If you're not paying attention to what you're doing today, what does it matter what's happening a week from now? A week from now, you could be in a deeper hole if you're not paying attention to feeding yourself energetically, physically, spiritually.
Totally. It's like it's in AA and it's in the principles of Reiki. Just for today. Just for today.
So I don't know if anyone's even watching anymore, but I still think it's really important, the messages that we're bringing to everyone. And you know, I hope that there people are finding some comfort and being proactive and trying to find out what makes them feel connected and comfortable, instead of just trying to survive through this, but actually try to thrive through this.
And I wanted to mention the meditation app. That's a good one, Insight Timer. So just creating that space to get quiet, and you could pick. Do you know Insight Timer, Maura?
I've heard of it. I haven't used it.
Okay. Well, they
Is
have
it an app on the phone that you listen to meditate?
You know, you could pay and get more features, but it's got lots and lots and lots available. And you could pick how long you want to do. You want to pick what, do you want to help with anxiety? Do you want to help with sleep? Do you want to help with your spirituality? You can pick, like, you know, it's a big, huge menu. And
it's called Insight Timer.
So I recommend that to people all the time.
You bleeped out inside or
insight, like insightful.
Okay, Insight Timer.
And you can customize it however you want. And it's just, you know, it also gives you like, you know, the reward of, oh, you've meditated 3 days in a row. And then you're like, oh,
wow, very cool.
And you know,
like that.
Reward system.
More, pick some cards. Okay, that's a great idea. Let me pick some
shuffling too.
Are you? That's great. All right, Anne-Marie, we're picking some cards. I see Karen's face. She's like, interesting.
I just looking at the card I got. You created this situation. You have the power to change it. Not that you created the pandemic, but.
Right. I absolutely love this card. It says, wait, let me see. I can't even see. Decisions. It says, release yourself from that which holds you back. Isn't that exactly what we're talking about? It is a time to detox. Unnecessary worry based on lack of self-confidence, unnecessary worry about things we can't control. you know, I'm big about the angels helping us to see. You said you asked for help and they showed you the next step. That's what this is about, that we only need to know the next thing. So when you make a decision, hey, I want to heal, I want to grow, I want to learn something, that's a decision that you're making to move forward. And then you ask spirit to show you the next thing. And then if you're doing the activity, then you're not being held back. So it's not holding you back anymore, not your thoughts, not your fears. So that's a big card. That's a big, are you making the decision? I won't be fearful. I won't let this situation beat me or win. I'm going to be stronger through this.
Yeah, and the one that I grabbed, it said, you know, the prayer would be, thank you for letting me lean on your strength and for reminding me of my personal power. Please guide me to manifest and heal according to divine will, creating peace and blessings for all involved. And then the next card I pulled was, your inner guidance is real and trustworthy. So please help me clearly hear, see, feel, and know the divine guidance that I have asked for and prayed for. Allow me to keep my ego out of the way so your wisdom can come streaming through me for my own benefit and those around me.
That's wonderful. And how can you know that inner voice if you're not giving yourself an opportunity to hear it?
Yeah.
You know, Kelly McCormick says, I see more angel numbers now than I ever have before. Okay, so if you can't get quiet enough to hear yourself, you know, the message that's coming through to yourself, look for tangible signs. Let's start there. So if you ask for help and then you see numbers, look them up. I always say, if you keep seeing a repeated animal, look up spirit animal and see what the message is.
Totally.
All kinds of animals give all kinds of messages, including ants and you know, bugs and things. Not that we want to hear that, but look.
Yeah, they're all meaningful. You don't judge the animal totem.
So this card says, seek out other possibilities and look for the magic in life. Be aware of your own emotions. And so that really is about, you know, we need to do some inner seeking. And what other possibilities do we have other than the ones we were utilizing before? This has put us in a unique position to reach for other things and find out what they are, uncharted waters. It's a great time for empowerment, even though it doesn't seem that way. We feel disempowered, but it's actually a time of empowerment.
Very much.
Got another card?
Nah, I put them away. I grabbed two, but I can grab a third. I saw like have confidence came up once. I kept pulling the same one. Yeah, here it is again. Have confidence. They do that. They'll go on repeat.
You know, when I get that card for people, and I love this message, the underlying thing says, if you don't have confidence in yourself, have confidence that there is a divine design behind this. It's hard to believe that when people are losing loved ones in their family, people that they know, their extended family, and they're worrying about the people that are living with them or you know, themselves or whatever. And so to think there's a divine design to this can be challenging. Like, how could there be a divine design that people die? But we'd have to go into another conversation, which you and I talked about for another time, that, you know, our life continues on after the death of a body. So what is the soul's purpose after it leaves here? And it's still doing work, and then may come back, reincarnation. We may have past life and future life and things that we need to do. So it's not the end that we think. It's not the doom that we think, but having confidence that there's a bigger picture. It's not always easy for people to grasp what that means. And then it is an opportunity for us to start building our own confidence and confidence in ourselves. And that goes with the card that I picked that says, listen to your intuition for accurate guidance. Face your fears and grow stronger. And these cards are so perfect for what's going on that we have more help than we think. And so when we feel alone, we got to go back to that spiritual energy, that inner knowledge, that intuition, and call on the spirits and spiritual energy to help, no matter what you call it, whether you call it God, whether you call it your ascended masters, your teachers, your angels. Ask yourself what it feels like to you. What is that energy that's coming in? That's a great questions. We've come up with a lot of great questions people can ask themselves through this. And we have a couple more weeks to do that. So I hope that they'll take the challenge and actually do some of that internal work.
Mm-hmm. Very cool.
All right. Well,
that's it. Yeah.
This was wonderful. I'm so appreciative to you. I feel honored to work with you and spend this time with everybody, and we get to connect. I know you have, tell everybody the pages that they can find you at, because you know, I want everybody to follow you. You give such great insight, down to earth. You know, you keep it real, and people need that now.
Yeah, well, that's why we forces unite, because we're the same kind of realm. My website's rebalancewithreiki.com. My business page you're on currently. I have a group called Down to Earth Spiritual Peeps, and that's linked through my business page. And that's just a place where you could kind of, you know, share things that maybe you don't want to share with your general news feed, like talking about spirit or something because you're afraid of being judged or mocked or whatever it is. Just a safe place to wave that. Not freak flag, because it's not freak. I think it's freaky that people aren't thinking this way.
Right, right.
Safe space. So that's really, you know, that's what I like to, you know, that's what I'm all about. And I also am teaching my one class again, starting this Friday, the Spiritual Seekers class. And that's for people who feel like they're on a spiritual journey and they want to like kind of tap into it, but don't really know where to start. So we talk about the empath thing and protecting.
That is a fantastic class. That's your 101, right?
Yeah.
So when people ask, where do I start? That is a fantastic class to take with Karen. She's a wonderful teacher, covers so many things, and I can't recommend that more highly. That's a fantastic opportunity for people to take. So will they find that link on your business page?
Yeah, I posted it as an event, so you could look through the events. It's starting this Friday. I'm charging $111 instead of my normal price, because it's like, well, whatever, we're in not normal times. I'm also teaching Reiki starting tomorrow, Reiki 1, Monday and Wednesday for 2 hours, like 1 to 3, because there were people that were interested, and I'm like, well, we'll try it. I did Reiki 2 a couple weeks ago virtually, because it was already scheduled and those people were willing to go along with it. And I knew it was possible, but it wasn't, you know, obviously my preferred way of teaching, but it was fine and it was successful and it was a good time. So we're going to, you know, I'm doing Reiki 1 tomorrow for the first time ever virtually. So it'll be good.
Great. So anyone that could take advantage of those 2 classes, please do. I'm over at Sapphire Holistic Center. There's my new shirt that Faith bought me and sent. It was a great thing in the mail that I opened the mail and found this. I was so happy. So thank you, Faith. Sapphire Holistic Center, the Facebook page is up. Sapphire Holistic Center Friends is another page that's on Facebook. John has been doing some sound healing videos with the bowls, and it's a wonderful meditation. So, and if you have questions that you want to send to Karen or to myself, please do. We'd be happy to, you know, write and get back to you. And just be supportive. We can't wait to get back with everybody physically, but in the meantime, connecting to each other and connecting like this, I'm sure we'll jump on again at some point, but this was just fantastic and I love to be in here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I mean, it was just like, I think we have to do something. So I'm glad it worked out.
Thanks for listening to your intuition.
Yeah, of course. And thank you guys for watching. It's now there's 24 people. Before there was 27. I haven't been looking the whole time, but it's awesome that you guys are with us, and then on the replay too. So
thanks everybody. And, you know, ask spirit for help, but mostly honor yourself and know that this will not last forever. We'll be out on the other side of this, and just have the confidence and faith and believe that. And we'll see you soon.
Thank you so much, Maura.
Thanks, Karen. It's wonderful. Bye-bye.
We'll see you.